academia, opportunities and challenges. The session will be conducted by Professor Roshan Ragel. So this webinar is organized by Sri Lankan Academy of Young Scientists and shortly SLAYS. And this is the first webinar session organized by SLAYS for this year. And we are planning to have more webinars in this series. And we hope this will be an excellent opportunity for all the academics and researchers. So I'm Maheshi Mapalagamage. I'm the moderator of this event, a lecturer from University of Colombo. So today we have the privilege of engaging with the distinguished academic and researcher, Professor Roshan Ragel, who will be sharing his expertise knowledge in this timed topic with us. So to officially commence our session, I would like to invite the president of SLAYS, Dr. Dinusha N. Udukula, to deliver the welcome address. Over to you, Dr. Dinusha.
Thank you, Dr. Maheshi. A very good evening to all of you who have gathered here today to witness this first webinar titled Generative AI in Academia, Opportunities and Challenges, organized by the Sri Lankan Academy of Young Scientists, SLAYS. On behalf of SLAYS, it is my great privilege to welcome our speaker today, Professor Roshan Ragel, a distinguished academic in computer engineering, University of Peradeniya, Sri Lanka. The objective of this webinar is to examine the transformative impact of AI on higher education, research, and academic administration, showcasing both the opportunities and challenges in this rapidly evolving domain. So with that, I would like to welcome you all again, and over to you, Dr. Mahesh.
Mahesh, you are muted.
Oh, sorry. I hope you can hear me now. So thanks a lot, Dr. Dinusha, for welcoming the event. Now it's my pleasure to introduce Professor Roshan Ragel in this event. So he's a professor at the University of Peradeniya since 2017, and he has authored over 200 peer-reviewed publications in areas such as artificial intelligence, machine learning, bioinformatics, and wearable computing, etc. So Professor Ragel has received numerous accolades, including the Presidential Awards for Scientific Publications, the National Educator Gold Award in 2024, and the title of Best Scientist in Computer Science in Sri Lanka, 2023 to 2025, by the AD Scientific Index. His global impact is reflected in his research collaborations and visiting scholar positions at renowned institutions such as UNSW Sydney, QUT Brisbane, UIUC Illinois, to name a few. So beyond academia, he plays a pivotal role in Sri Lanka's digital transformation, serving as the consultant CEO of the Lanka Research and Education Network, shortly LEARN, and as a council member of the Asia Pacific Advanced Network. So he's also a key contributor to shaping national policies on AI and higher education. So you can see we have the best person on board to conduct this webinar. And with this note, I would like to invite Professor Ragel to deliver the webinar. And you can see we have we have about 70 participation in this event. So this reflects the enthusiasm of this scientific community of this particular topic. So to give a quick heads up, the session will go for 45 minutes. And after that, we will have a Q&A session. So you can ask questions there. And you can use the chat box to ask questions during the session, and I can save them up and convey them to Professor Ragel. And please note that the session will also be recorded. So with that note, I would like to warmly invite Professor Ragel to start the session. Over to you, Professor.
Thank you, Mahesh. Let me share my screen. These are some news article titles from actually 2022 and 2023. You can see the titles goes related to our topic, generative AI. Titles like ChatGPT and the death of education. This news heading is coming from Harvard Independent. And there are others from places like New York Times, New York Post, all talks about sort of the negative or the problems and challenges of this new technology called generative AI, and particularly things like death of education. But the real story is not just about the disruption, but also how this sort of technology can come and digitally transform fields like education, research, and whatnot. So that is what we're going to discuss today in the next 40 minutes or so. How AI in academia, the possibilities, the opportunities, and challenges. Thank you very much for having me here and also joining all of you for this session on an evening. And happy to be with you all. I'm going to take some time to go through these topics. The whole objective of me doing this webinar is to give you a glimpse of what's happening and the possibilities and the challenges, what we can do about it, and how academia is getting reshaped with this sort of technology. That's the idea. I will not go into detail of or any one of these technique or the ideas, but I'll brief and I'll go quite fast on what are different opportunities and challenges. So things like AI or artificial intelligence is an idea not very new. It's about 75 years old. But at the same time, technology or industries come into picture in our human life for a very long time. And the industries, through its revolutions, have changed the way how we live. So here is a quick diagram on different industrial revolutions. They have changed not just the industry, but how we live and how we do things or our day-to-day activities. So right there, we have AI, artificial intelligence, coming into the picture. And it's going to change, again, the way how we do things, live. And we being in academia, we are going to discuss about how it works in academia. So just to give you a quick intro on what AI and what generative AI are. AI, artificial intelligence, like I said, is about 75 years old as a technology, as a concept. And since then, a lot been done in the field. There are ups and downs. There are peaks and valleys in its development. But somewhere in 2017, with the idea of machine learning, deep learning, things took a positive change. With deep learning, we are able to now make machines to learn like people, or to some extent like people, or even better in some instances. And generative AI is a concept where these machines can generate, can make things. Things could be text or anything else. Here is history timeline on AI and generative AI or things like GPTs. Models started coming into the picture in 2020, even before in research, but then 2021 they became very popular with the first chatbot build around it becoming popular and reaching millions. At the same time, if you take a technology like AI, it is changing the way how anything works, including any business. So here is a picture of how AI is integrated into any different type of business. If you take like 100 different businesses, out of which in the last years, pre-generative AI, we have about 50% of companies using AI for at least one of its business functions. But now the numbers are increasing. As of now, although this graph is coming from the first quarter of 2024, since then numbers have even increased, and now almost all businesses have at least one business function that uses AI. So things are changing a lot, but generative AI does. I assume I don't have to explain what it is. Basically, we can ask or we can prompt, give instruction for it to generate either text, audio, video, images, even programs, computer programs. So we are in a time where even computer programs, which usually used to be the way of communicating with computers, now can be generated using natural language, using how we speak and among humans. So at the same time, this is also something important we should consider and discuss, because this technology is doing well in certain applications, or a lot of applications, even compared to the average human being. Here is a graph to show how this technology like AI in different applications. Let's take an application like reading comprehension. So in reading comprehension, AI applications can do now better than human. So that's the average human performance. It can do better than human. So there are many other applications now coming into picture. For these applications, AI or machines can do better than average humans performance. And therefore, it is time for us to consider its possibilities, opportunities. And at the same time, we also, when you have such opportunities, we'll also have to face challenges. We'll have to look at them as well. So here is the opportunity in terms of money, numbers, market share. With generative AI, by the way, so if you look at a graph here, these numbers are in trillions of dollars. And the graph highlights how AI, here it's AI, and generative AI can influence the market in terms of its market share in trillions of dollars. You can see the numbers with generative AI, it's predicted to increase by from 35 to 70%. So somewhere in the average of about 50%. So that's a big increase. And these numbers are, these predictions are even getting better in terms of the contribution such technology can make. With that, let's quickly look at how this sort of technology can help or give, what are the opportunities that this technology gives in academia, something that you and me are in. You know, like in the turn of the last century, we came up with this framework called the 21st century learner. So in the framework, what he said was, in the 21st century, what we expect or the attributes we would want to have in a learner. And based on this, we have developed graduate profiles of different degree programs. We have developed program outcomes, and we started educating people, learners on this. So some of the things that that I can highlight here are things like the communication skill, the digital literacy, the social responsibility. All these were considered. But then the digital literacy is not just stopping at digital literacy now, but it's going further into things like the AI literacy. With AI coming into picture, the digital literacy for the 21st century learner has to be considered into the AI. That is one of the reasons why AI has to be understood, particularly the basics of AI and its applications, how we can use it. Not that how we can build. Not everyone is going to build AI systems, but it turns out that all of us, whether you are in academia or whether you are in any other field, whether you are in academia in any field, whether you are in business, whether you are in law, whether you are in medicine, healthcare, any one of these fields, we are going to use, it turns out we are going to use AI. Therefore, the literacy, particularly understanding how AI can be useful and its applications, is something that's important. Not just that, we also have to understand how AI can impact the society, how it can change the way how we do things. Like any other industrial revolution, here it's going to come and change the way how we do things. At the same time, we also have to pay attention when new technologies, digital transformation happening. We also have to worry about the ethical implications of using these. What are the ethical implications of using these is one of the other major concerns. We being in academia, we are responsible for our learners to be ethically right, to be ethical basically. So therefore, those are aspects. Something that we, with this, something that we normally take for granted, sorry, is what we teach or what we make our learners to do. When there is no technology like AI, we were comfortable teaching or making our learners to learn basic skills like numeracy, literacy, arithmetic, that sort of skill. That's where we started. But then we also went into making them learn or teaching them problem solving skills, complex problem solving skills, and so on. However, now that there are computers and machines or AI can come and do these things, sometimes better than us, we now have to rethink how education should enable our learners to be more than just a problem solver, just more than just an analytical thinker, and so on. So based on this, in fact, this is something I copied from UNESCO. UNESCO has identified this, and they have released a report in 2023, if I remember right, on how AI, in the times of AI, how educators and the learners have to behave and where we have to focus. Where it's identifying, in addition to reading, writing, and arithmetic, we also have to consider human skills to be inculcated on human being or the learners, empathy, creativity, and critical thinking. These could change, but then what we had to understand is the value proposition of human or human value had to be inculcated and improved through our education system. When technologies like AI can come and do some of the things that human work or are good at. So with that, where we can use AI, one of the places I'm very passionate about is educating, and I believe all of you are. And one of the questions I usually used to ask is whether it's possible to make every learner learn everything possible or the best possible in a class, let's say, right? So this question is in fact answered again about 40 plus years ago by Benjamin Bloom. So in Benjamin Bloom's 2 sigma study or 2 sigma problem, he defined it after the study, where he showed how personalized learning or one-to-one tutoring can improve learner performance. In short, what he says is in a regular class with 30 students and 1 teacher, if the performance is normal distribution, and a class with one-to-one tutoring, meaning 1 teacher, 1 student, the performance increases by 2 sigma. In other words, in numbers, if you have 100 students, if usually in a regular class, 20 students get A grades. Now, 90 students are going to get A grades. That's a change we can make. And also something more interesting is that in a personalized class, every student will get grades better or perform better than almost every student will perform better than the average student in a regular class. So that's something very promising in terms of personalized education, in terms of learning. But to do this, we need technology. We have been having technology, but not something that can make a significant difference like how AI can do. So AI can in fact make a significant difference, we believe. So where AI can be used in education or in this sort of work, higher education, this is actually a paper published very recently, plus one, I believe. And they have done a study across a large population of students. And they figured, just in case, if you think our students are not using this technology, we are at fault, right? So we know like better than us, our students all use such technology. And here is a report or a paper basically, which shows where the students in different disciplines, starting from arts, humanities, social science, applied sciences, and natural life sciences, how they use actually ChatGPT in this example, in this paper, for their day-to-day activities. Brainstorming is at the top. Summarizing is another one. Research assistance, particularly finding information for research papers, is another one. Even coding assistance is there. So these are places, in addition to many others here, things like study assistance and so on. Obviously, academic writing. And these are places where students are already using AI or generative AI a lot. With that, it's possible for us to build systems that can help personalized education with tools like or technologies like generative AI and specific tools that are built for such work. Here is one tool that is built by Khan Academy called Khan Migo. What it does is basically it has two different versions. One for teachers and one for students. The student version works very much like a Socrative approach or a Socrative dialogue, where it doesn't give answers to questions like a typical teacher would do. What it will do is it will converse and make students to think and make them think and learn. For example, look at how this Kanmi instant goes. Can you tell me the answer? This is a student asking. I believe the question was up, which is not shown in the screenshot, right? So take it like that. It's important that you learn how you do this yourself. That's what the chatbot says. What do you think you need to do to multiply 2 by 5 over 12? So when the student asks question, it's without giving answer, it's asking question again and making student to think and learn. And when the student gives a wrong answer, again, you can see how it goes into the conversation. So such things are possible with the underlying architecture, underlying systems like the generative AI systems, like even systems like ChatGPT. In fact, the Khan Academy's Khan Migo is built on top of OpenAI's API. So basically a version of like the backend of ChatGPT. So this was built using that. So if you use general platform like ChatGPT, obviously it's going to give answers, but it is possible to make systems like this so that students can really learn. Not just students, even teachers can use these platforms and use it for various different applications. Here is one related to lesson planning, right? So how you can specifically give details and ask questions to prepare and make things faster for teachers. The good part about any one of these tools compared to a human teacher learner or teacher student interaction is that this is 24/7 available, both for teachers and students. So it can cater to different type of students, different type of learners, learners who learn at different times of time of the day and so on. So here is another study that shows how teachers can improve their productivity. So this study is done among school teachers. The school teachers spend about 50 hours a week. This is in US. The numbers are similar, in fact, here. About 50 hours per week on work. What do? About half of the time, they engage with students. The other half of the time, they do other things like preparing for lessons, evaluating, giving feedback, teachers on professional development, administrative tasks. They spend about half of the time on this, and the other half of the time where they really engage with it. These are more like overheads for the value services that we have, or value added services we have. The non-value added part is here. So situations like this, it's possible to use technology and tools like AI to improve it. This is through a study. This survey figured we can improve about 20 to 30% of the time or 20 to 30% of the time that teachers can take over and use it for more student engagement on one way, or so teachers can take a break. If they are spending about 15 minutes per week working, they can take a break as well. So those are possibilities, and more possibilities. Usually, when we learn to teach, or we learn how to teach, we learn about design principles like universal design for learning. Meaning, we design our material, design our learning principle, our lessons to satisfy all different types of learners. But can this really be done? Can this really be done? The answer is no. Why? Because we don't really have the time to do such activities. So why we don't have the time is because we have a limited amount of time, and half of the time we are preparing and doing other. Let me see. There seems to be some question I had. I'll get time to answer them later. So there are a lot of other tasks we had to do, and therefore it's impossible for us to spend time preparing lessons, preparing material on all different ways of learning. It's a challenge.
Can you please mute?
Can you, yeah. Give me a second. Yeah.
You can go ahead.
Okay. So it's possible we see a lot of examples where we can, give me a second. It's sorry about that. So for improving productivity, I was giving you examples. What we have seen is that usually with generative AI, it's possible to improve the productivity about 50%. That is like the productivity can be improved up to 150% compared to 100 on different applications. Productivity is a good example where we can reduce the time we spend on regular activities, and therefore this time can be used for education, for example, or engaging with learners. Just skip that. Let me move on to some research related. We're talking about education. The other aspect of academia is research. Even if you take a topic like research, there can be a lot can be done using generative AI type tools. In fact, chatbots, generic chatbots like ChatGPT, even has specific GPTs built for doing research. So research applications, how you can use it for research. In addition, there are a lot of other tools being built. In fact, every day, using generative AI backends, about 200 new applications are built every day, we are told. So these applications are all adding to the market, adding to our use. So identifying the right tool and identifying what can be done with these tools is very important. Here in research, I'm just dividing it into 4 cycles. This research conception execution, dissemination, translation research, research translation, basically commercialization type of work. And then obviously from there you have to go in the cycle, funding, compliance, and go again. So every one of these activity, it's possible to use tools, generative AI tools, to support. So here are some examples. So in fact, for places like brainstorming, improving workflows, analysis even, all these tools are out there to be used. I'll take some examples instead of just going through this list right now to show more. So here is one. This is actually the favorite ChatGPT. Now, if you want to write those days, if you want to write a research paper, and if you're going to use some markup language like LaTeX, this is what you have to write if you want to write an equation like 2 equations like this. But now with ChatGPT, it's possible to just write something like this, take a photo, send it to ChatGPT, and ask it to generate this. In fact, it was just generated. And from there, you can make it into image, a rendered equation. So this is just an example, not just programming, but even if you want to do markup, if you want to do like a research article, or if you want to write a book, all that now can be done by activities or tools like this, very fast, easy. If not, you'd have to spend a lot of time doing such things in the past. Not just that, even for data driven insights, if you want to find more about what's going on your data, there are a number of applications, a number of tools available for doing things like this. Some tools in action. So this, I'm taking some examples or input from the OpenAI itself. OpenAI has a website called Teaching with AI. So they highlight how AI can be used in different teaching activities. They are giving examples like role playing, how you can use ChatGPT like platform for role playing, how ChatGPT like platform can be used for learning language, how it can be used for teaching student on critical thinking. So these are examples, and with use cases, they are showing how AI or generative AI can be used in teaching, specifically tools like this is ChatGPT. But there are others. I mentioned earlier about Khan Academy's Khanmigo, and there are other tools like Unstuck. Like I said, every day hundreds of tools are being built and shared. Some of them are free, some of them have a limited free access, and some of them are paid. Obviously, those who are building these tools have to make money. But there are a lot of opportunities with these tools. So here's another example. Unstuck is a study tool where you can, the students can either upload PDF, PPTs, YouTube videos, and then discuss, ask questions, and get answers from a tool. So this is possible even in tools like ChatGPT, but this is specifically designed so that they can only, or they will only answer, this tool will only answer based on the input or the text or the video that is given, not from outside. There are other tools. There is this tool from Google called Notebook LM. What it can do is it can take some text or PDF files and generate summary, and you can ask questions, and also it can generate what is known as a dialogue, basically a podcast, we call it, a dialogue between two people. So a text you give, it converts it into or a textbook you give, it converts it into a dialogue so that you can listen and learn. So these are possible, tools are being developed and built. Not just those, even a learning management system like Moodle has AI-related plugins installed. For example, there's a plugin where you can give a text and ask it to make questions. So the Moodle or the LMS quizzes can be made by just uploading a textbook or a a lecture note and so on. So these things are being built and becoming more and more popular with time. More on tools. Course networking is another platform where you can use it as an LMS or you can use it as a e-portfolio platform. Again, in this platform, we have a lot of AI things like AI question generator, something similar to what Moodle plugin has, AI post summarization, automated reflections on what the student posts, and so on. So there's and more like grading rubrics and so on can be made automatic using AI. More on like where we can educate our learners on how to use these tools. And there are a number of open free platforms out there. Examples like this. This is ChatGPT Foundation, and that is Foundations for K-12 educators. So where we can use these to learn how we can use ChatGPT-like platform for teaching. So in fact, this is for school education, but we can take a lot of examples from there for universities as well. There are tools for doing data analysis. Power Drill is a very popular tool that can be used for doing data analysis. Very easy. You can just upload a file and it can suggest and do analysis easily. And with some prompting, we can do better. So Julius is another one. So that is a few tools and more. If you want to do things like literature review, again, there are a number of tools to start brainstorming, coming up with the research question. And then there are tools for actually doing the literature review. So these tools are all out there. Just to give you some examples. So here is one. So here is a tool where you don't really need to type and give prompts, but you can just ask a research question. The tool is called Elicit. You can just ask a research question. It can give the summary of research papers, actually 4 papers for free. If not, you had to pay. And not just that, it can also give more details about these papers, the paper details, the abstracts. In fact, we can add more details about the paper and we can summarize it into a table. If you have a paid account, then you also can do it for large number of papers, not just 4. So Elicit is a tool like that. There's another one called Connected Papers. It does something similar. If you search for one paper, it can show all the other papers that are in one way or the other connected in terms of topic, in terms of ideas, in terms of the solutions to each other. So with this, it's possible now to do things like literature review really, really fast. In fact, these graphs, we can just click on one of those and see what the paper is about and where it is published, a summary of the paper, and so on. So this becomes faster. More tools, one built by SciSpace called Typeset.io, can also do something similar. So you can upload a paper, for instance, and ask questions or make summaries using SciSpace or Type.io. So these are different other platforms that can be useful in research. Not just the summary, we also can get other related papers explaining a particular text in a paper. All that can be done with Typeset.io. That's coming from a tool called SciSpace. You can see more on how Typeset.io can be used, where you can add about papers, you can add the method used, you can add conclusions, you can add summaries, results, limitations, contributions. All these can be added as columns, and you can make a big table with papers. Starting from just one paper, you can keep adding more papers, and you can use connected papers. You can find relevant other papers. All these are possible. And also you can use it for summarizing. You can use it for rephrasing, changing tones. So this is a very versatile tool. So those are a lot of opportunities. And let me quickly spend some time talking about some challenges. One of the major challenge with this technology is academic fairness, meaning whether all our learners, researchers have access to this, whether they can use these digital, like the problem with digital divide or literacy divide, where you all don't have equal access. That is something that we are trying to overcome, but that's a challenge. And also the individualness and what's happened, what about the creativity of people when these tools are being introduced and being used extensively are challenges. There are more challenges, like relying on this technology too much and believing that this technology can do everything possible are also challenges. Misinformation is a challenge because these tools are being trained by data that is out there, and not all are right. There could be right information, wrong, misleading information, fake ones, and all that. Therefore, it's possible to for us to get wrong information from these tools, particularly learners, particularly those who don't know what is right and what is wrong. The tools can, what the tools give, they will not be able to differentiate, and therefore there's a danger. And there are outdated data because these systems are built or trained not very regularly because it's very expensive to train them. For instance, for training something like a ChatGPT backend or the LLM, large language model, it is said to be costing about $200 million. So it's a lot of money to train this one time, and therefore they are not trained every other day. So therefore the data that it has are usually not up to date. And then there are also problems with the data. It can be biased, it can be focused on certain type of people, their data, not others, and so on. There's other challenges. So there are a lot more other challenges like logical reasoning. They lack privacy. If you want to use our own private data to get output, that is also a problem because it can violate privacy regulation or even our concern. Like, let's say somebody is giving us some information and we are going to use it for taking some output from an LLM or from a Gen AI tool. Then there are again challenges. We can't share such data because they are given to us in confidence. For instance, if you are going to do a review of a paper or a review of a proposal or a grant proposal, if you are a reviewer, can you be giving all this to a chatbot to get answers? Obviously no, because they are given to us in confidence. So those are more challenges. Plagiarism is also a problem and challenge. In the interest of time, I'll not spend time explaining it. But at the same time, it's also possible to look at it from an outsider perspective, look at the big picture and see how we can redefine, relook at these aspects. Even assessments, there are new schemes of assessment. This is a paper that came out in 2023, end of 2023, 2024. They are talking about how assessment can be redefined in the context of AI. When AI is out there, how do you do assessment now? Can you do the same way how you did it earlier? Obviously not. And there are discussions and ways in which we can do those. So what are the consideration? What can we do about all this? Is we had to know the objective of how and why we are learning, why we are doing research, and then make sure we use these tools at the right place. We make our learners to understand the same and use these technology tools at the right place. And also make sure in any one of these situations, it is us, the human, who is going to take the responsibility of what these tools are doing. Therefore, it must be the case that we take the responsibility of verifying whatever is going on, whatever the tool is giving as output as human. So it is a challenge for learners to do this because learners by nature will not know, and therefore it's very difficult for them to verify. As academics, in academia, it's our responsibility to make this verification process clear and educate our learners that there is a verification process, and it is the duty of those who are producing this output who had to verify whatever these tools produce. So I'll just skip some of these in the interest of time. So in research, now it's possible for us to use generative AI tools. Most of the publishers are accepting the use. However, they are asking us to declare how they are used, and also there are citing what you call the citation styles, those who are maintaining them, like American Psychological Association, APA, and others, they are all showing how generative AI use can be cited. In addition, they are also talking about how the usage can be included uh, and sort of verified and attached in our publications. So, for example, Elsevier, for instance, says, okay, you can use it, but when you publish, when you submit papers, you also have to give an appendix with what are the prompts you used and what are the outputs you are getting. Examples like that. In fact, we are also doing such things in our undergraduate education in places like research project. I'll skip that in the interest of time. So it's possible to use these in a lot of different applications. Here is one. This is related to education, how these tools can be used. I believe.
Hi, my name is Sal Khan. I'm the founder of Khan Academy, and I'm also the author of a new book. My son Imran. It might. Let's get it started.
So you can see how
Loading up.
ChatGPT is helping.
Sure, you can see our screen.
Actually, in this form.
Hello there. I'm here with my son, and I'd love you to tutor him on this math problem, but don't give him the answer. You can ask questions and nudge him in the right direction, but I really want to make sure he understands it himself. And he's here in the room, so you can talk to him directly.
Of course, I'd be happy to help. Let's look at the problem together. Can you first identify which sides of the triangle are the opposite, adjacent, and
right here, right?
perfect? That's great. Now, looking at the
I think it might be this one, but I really am not sure. This side AC.
You're close. Actually, side AC is called the adjacent side to the angle alpha. The hypotenuse.
Is this really?
In the interest of time, I'll not go into the full video, but you can see how it is possible for us to make one of these tools to educate or converse with a learner and teach simple things like here in this case, trigonometry.
In the future.
I'll skip that. And with that, so it's what we see is there are a lot of good opportunities, but at the same time, there are challenges. I went through the challenges fast, but there are many. So so just to conclude, although there are so many opportunities and some challenges, we have to take this forward. So there are also concerns, like for instance, what's going to happen if AI can take over and do most of what human can do in terms of job. So here is a study from the Future of Jobs survey that World Economic Forum does every year. This is from the end of last year. What they have identified in terms of job is that about, I think about 90 million, 90 some number. 92 million jobs are going to be replaced or destroyed by AI type technology. And at the same time, you can also see on the other side, there are more jobs created. The numbers as per this survey is about 170 million. So the number of jobs that are we are going to get are going to be double. But the point is that who is going to lose these jobs and who are going to get these jobs? Are we going to be people who are developing or supporting or educating our learners so that our learners are people who can capture those new jobs while not just losing jobs? So usually this digital divide and the education, what it is going to do is going to harm those who are at the lower end and at the same time help others. So what we had to do as educators in academia is that we had to make sure our learners understand this transformation and understand this and get literate so that they don't fall into the jobs destroyed category, but those who get jobs. So that's something that we should focus and work on. And there are a lot of other studies to show that there are places where human skills can still not be replaced, but it can be augmented and complemented. So as a joke, they say like tools like ChatGPT or others are considered to be co-pilots, not the pilot. So human is still the pilot. So if you want to continue to be the pilots, the type of skills that we had to master, again, this is coming from the same study, the World Economic Forum Future of Jobs Survey 2024, identify these 10 skills as human skills that we had to core skills that we had to continue developing: analytical thinking, resilience, flexibility, and agility, and so leadership and social influence. And so it goes on to the list. So as educators in academia, are we going to lose jobs? Is one other question. Here is an answer. It's coming from another study by British Council. So one of the teachers put it nicely. All our kids love us in a way they could never love working with AI only. So AI is going to change the way how we learn, teach, engage, but it's not going to replace the human factor. And therefore, even a lot of example to show that that's how it works, right? So teaching entails more than mere knowledge transfer. It involves human connection, emotional understanding, and cultural appreciation. The elements that the respondents of this survey particularly believe AI cannot replace. So these are things that we have to keep in mind while we are working and moving on with technologies like generative AI. And here is a list of more tools on different aspects. I covered some of these tools, not everything, but as you can see, there is plenty of tools. Some of them are very popular and they have their use, and we should understand where we can use them. So I'll conclude. I know I went pretty quick. I'll conclude by a quote from Fei Li. She's an American computer scientist. What she said sometimes back, she's one of the famous AI scientists actually. What she said was, AI won't replace humans, but humans using AI will. So that's exactly what the job replacement study also says, right? So those, they're going to lose job, but we're going to get more jobs with AI, or those who know AI. With that, thank you very much, and thank you for this opportunity, and thank you for most of you staying back for the 1 hour. And I'll hand over to Maheshi. Maybe that we can answer some questions. Maheshi, again, you are muted.
Sorry for that. So thanks a lot for that, Professor Ragel, for that insightful and timely presentation. And we learned a lot about this trending topic, and especially the avenues of AI we can focus, like considering the generative AI in academia, like especially the tools, the current advanced tools that we can use, and the platforms we can use in academia. So, I mean, you can, now the webinar is open for questions, and you can see like a lot of questions are there in the chat box. So what do you prefer, Professor Ragel? Shall we start off with the questions in the chat box and then with this?
Yeah, either way, I'm good. I mean, you decide.
But if you have any questions, you can ask now. You can unmute and ask. And until then, we can go with the questions in the chat box. So do you have any questions? Right. So
I think it is better that Professor go through the questions in the chat box, no? That he can read and give the answer.
Yes, sure. Go ahead.
So let me read the first one. Up to AI technology, the final decision maker is a human being. For an example, nuclear bomb, the decision is a human being. But in AI, okay, so maybe up to AI technology, sorry. So up to AI tech. So the concern is AI technology is more than just a technology. It is now called to be an agent. It has its own agency, so it can make decisions. That is the concern. It is a serious concern, and I agree. Let's see what the question is. How can we assure AI technology cannot be harmful for the world in future? Okay. That's in fact a very difficult question to answer. And this is why like everyone, including the world leaders, are talking about it and seeing how we can put guardrails and safeguard what's going on. I mean, but it's not something impossible to do, in the sense, even, I mean, even human, when human making decision, we don't always have good human, right? So it's possible to stop doing such things. Even technology, things like guardrails. The example I gave earlier about how even a simple thing like um, answering questions for a student, for a learner, how it can be controlled by using the technology, right? So the technology can also be used to give answers, but at the same time, technology can also be used to stop giving all possible answers, but ask more questions and give answers. So it's possible. It's up to us to decide what to unleash, how up to how much we wanted to do, right? So that's what we had to do and take more responsibility. And I know, like, I completely agree that it is not simple as using a tool. It's more than a tool. However, it's us who is going to build the tool. And obviously, if it goes wrong, we just have to turn the power off. That's I mean, as simple as that. But it is, I mean, not as easy like I said. Mm, the point is, yes, there is it is understood this sort of technology it has agency, and therefore it's more than just any normal technology. With that understanding, everyone is talking about how we can put guardrails. That's where we are right now. Yeah. So the next question: ChatGPT better than DeepSeek? Okay, I don't know whether it's a statement or a question. So DeepSeek, yes, as you know, recently DeepSeek became very popular, and it does certain tasks, analytical tasks, and so on better. It was said with some examples, benchmarks. But then the only catch is that a tool like ChatGPT, if you are paying for it, you can ask it not to take your data for its own training. So the privacy matters and so on. So by the way, you would know, if you are using a tool where you don't pay money, then whatever you are giving the tool is what the money is, right? So the data that you give for its training is where the money is. So tool like DeepSeek for now is giving things for free, and they are taking the data for training. But yeah, so it's shown in certain places it can do better. I'm not sure whether it's a question. For that matter, that's what normally happens with draws. What to do? I'm not very clear what that question is. Amila, if you are around, you can ask. Up to your technology, I think it's the same question repeating again. Yeah, it's the same question repeating again. When it comes to using AI in research, almost all the lecturers are against it. It's a question. When it comes to using AI in research, almost all the lecturers are against it. I'm not. And yeah, so the whole idea is we have to understand, if you take a topic like research, maybe I'll unshare this so that we can talk better. So when you take a topic like research, different steps of research, we should understand what we want to do. And wherever I'm going, whoever I'm talking to, I'm trying to make this distinction and clarify. For instance, if you take research, one of the aspects of research is publishing. So publishers are accepting now the use of generative AI tools. Obviously, they're asking us to show where you are using it, but they are accepting. So meaning they are accepting certain aspects. So if you take something like research, if you have like 20 different steps to do research, certain steps can be accelerated. For instance, literature survey. Why would, I mean, I don't now go and go to libraries, do interlibrary loans and find papers, right? So I use technology. Even if there's no AI, I will use technology. I will use the search repositories. I'll go and search in some places like PubMed or IEEE or Archive or some places, Explorer or places like that. So this is, in that sense, it's a technology. So it makes things easier, faster. But at the same time, it also expects us to do more research, better research, thorough research. So in fact, like I mentioned, just mentioned earlier, our undergraduate students for their research project, year-long research projects, we are asking them to use, and we are also showing them how AI can be used, all these tools, how you can use them. And then we are also asking them to prepare a report. So when they submit a report, they'll also submit how they used AI tools report. So there's an additional report they'll prepare and sub, and such an understanding. So the point is this, right? So if our learners, our researchers who we train are not familiar with these tools, and they are going to go and compete in the public, like open world where others are familiar, we are at disadvantage. Okay, so that's exactly why we should allow them to use, but obviously with the right understanding, the right education. That's what I advocate, and I hope we'll get more and more researchers, more and more lecturers will understand this and start allowing and using it. I agree that it's not easy as just said, because it's a conversation we are supposed we had to have, not just in research but also in education. How these tools are coming and changing the way how education works. It's a big change. So it takes a lot of effort from educators' perspective and also others to have that conversation to make things better. So that's what I would have to say there. Okay. The next one is there a way to know how the data we enter into a generative AI, for example, ChatGPT, is processed? So processed in the sense, okay, there is a way to know, but it's not straightforward. For instance, what these technologies use is known as like different technological models. And very first thing that it does is it does what is known as NLP, or natural language processing, to take our text and convert it into something that the machines can start understand. And from there, the natural language processing is going to go and do some sort of search, some sort of deep learning techniques. I'll not go into detail. So it's possible. And also there are research areas like explainable AI and responsible AI, where researchers are building AI system. They will explain how they come to a conclusion, or how they come up with the results, how these processes work, instead of just giving answers. So those are also being built. So it's possible to do it, but it's not straightforward, and it's not straightforward for a general user, right? Say, for example, you are driving cars. We can drive car, but if you want to understand how car work and what's going on, not everybody will easily understand it. It's something similar. Could rely too much on AI limit creativity. Could relying too much on AI limit creativity in science? Yeah. So my friends who are in support of AI says otherwise. In fact, with AI, it's possible for us to give mundane tasks, most of them to be automated, so that we can spend more time on creativity. That's one way of arguing. But yes, I had a slide, I didn't spend time on that, is that generally there's a concern, yes, if these tools can create or become creative, what about our creativity? But these tools are creating based on our ideas, based on what we ask them to create and so on. So even for me, now my creativity has increased. For instance, now I can draw a nice picture. Normally I can't. I can draw it by thinking, by imagining, by writing it down. I can write nicely, but I can't draw. Now I can, right? So situations like that. But maybe there are situations where this question is challenged. Like even under my challenges, I listed one concern is learners, young age. What if they start using it? What happens to their brain function? Whether it will develop properly? those are questions uh, like the right experts have to answer, study, figure out. But in general, at like, let's assume we are already to some extent creative, whether our creativity is going to go down, that the argument generally is no. Is it possible to get recording webinar? Okay.
Yeah, we can get the recording of the webinar. So to add on to that, the increase in creativity. So like you said that like in the early learners, like, I mean, in the Sri Lankan context, whether this like the children, they are in their syllabus, whether they do have this AI technology, it is included in their syllabus. Do you know about that? Because that is the one which is most affecting when it comes
So
to
there is a drive to include some, not actually not. So AI literacy, yes. AI literacy, there is a drive from the Ministry of Education to include AI literacy into the school syllabus. That is about literacy. The point is this, right? So even school kids are using this
Yeah.
technology in their mobile phones and not. But the drive, even I'm also part of the steering committee for advisory committee for AI, National AI drive. So what we are discussing there is even particularly learners, if they use this technology without knowing what's going on, without understanding what's happening, its implications and ethics and how it affects us and how we can rely on it and how much we can rely on what not and how much we can't and so on. If we don't literate the learners, then we are in trouble because they are anyway going to use it.
Yes.
So that's the idea behind drives like the school system introducing AI literacy, and even universities, there are plans of introducing AI literacy for everyone, right? So that's where it is. Yes,
Okay.
there are a lot more questions.
There are a lot more questions like.
I hope we have more
We
more
have
time.
like 5 minutes more. So if you can select like one, like the
Yeah,
important one, you
you
can
can.
address, would be better.
If I'm correct now, yeah, it's doing decision making. Will it change the level of? Okay, that's more technical. AI is doing binary decision making. Okay, so AI is not really doing binary decision making, but the underlying computers, they do. But AI does more than binary actually. But the particular things like generative AI, it's not very much deterministic as well anymore. Are there any guidance or code of conduct to be used? AI in research, AI in research, code of conduct, and general teaching learning processes internationally and Sri Lanka. So AI in research. Oh yeah, so guidelines, there are many. Particularly places like UNESCO has its AI in education guideline. And Sri Lanka, we have a policy document that was put out by a task force. I was part of it, and it is publicly available on in general AI use, generative AI use in general. Not it has a section on education. That's where I contributed more. And so those are there in Sri Lanka. Globally, different countries have their guidelines. Popular ones are things that are from Europe and EU. Guidelines are there, and Singapore has its own AI initiative and guidelines in education research. And research, I would also suggest looking at publishers. Publishers have their guidelines on how AI use, how you can use, where you can use, how it can be integrated into your publication, submissions, and so on. So different publishers have a little different guidelines, but generally it's all positive because the whole idea is to take this positively and see how we can make the best out of it, right? So with the right caution, obviously. Okay,
Yes.
so the guidelines are out there. In medicine, we use AI in ECG. Okay, different areas. At what point are we going to trust the machine judgment and correlate with our clinical judgment? So in fact, this is already happening. We are even working on a number of projects with our medical health sciences of allied, dental and others on judgment related things. So for now, obviously experts are overseeing them, but we see very good results in places like, particularly places like radiology. AI systems are doing apparently better than the radiologists, right? So because of human error and so on. So because, and also we have so much of data, enough data and places like that. But in even other areas, they are getting better. But obviously, right now they are done as help or as supplementary. But I'm not the right person to say when you decide uh, to let AI to do it without people. I don't think we'll go there anytime soon. Only thing is how much we use might change.
We have two more questions.
Yeah, okay. The use of internet sometimes articles and sometimes it is the Google summary. It is, these summaries or go to deep search. So things like if your source is right, that is the main point, right? So we had to verify whether the source is right. The question is about, okay, so how much we can rely on summaries of things that are coming from different places. If we had to make sure the source is right. And if the source is right, things like summarizing a text is a well-known technique in AI for a long time. It's not a new thing. Summarizing text, we have been doing research about summarizing text for the last 20 years. So right now, things like summarizing is pretty good. AI is very good actually, and very fast. And as long as the source is right. So we had to make sure the source from where this summary is coming from is validated. If it is research, it has to be a published paper, right? So then the summary, there's no issue in relying on the summary. Otherwise, no. So if you, in fact, the example platforms I mentioned like Typeset.io or Elicit and platform like even Perplexity, these tools, what they do is they curate the answers it gives based on the source. So the source, they are curated for reliable sources. So even if you take a platform like ChatGPT, it has specific GPT. So if you go to ChatGPT Explorer, you can find specific GPTs called research GPT and so on, consensus and so on. So those specific ones are curated, meaning they are going to give answers only from research papers. So the research papers are coming from research databases, archives, like PubMed. Therefore, those ones and the things that are coming from there and the summaries coming from them they are reasonably reliable. And accuracy wise, taking a text and summarizing, the accuracy these days are almost 100%, 99. It's really good. Summarizing is not a challenge, but where the source is a challenge. So that we had to make sure. Can you describe how machine learning?
Take this as the last question because we are running out of time. So I think he has repeated this question again.
So that actually is a more of a conversation that we had to have. Which task? So things like even we are talking about education, academia. The discussion we had to have is how and this identifying things like how human brain works and how learning works and where we can contribute more. But even agencies like UNESCO has identified something at a very surface level, I would say. That was done in 2023, but there are committees who are working on such aspects on identifying where we can contribute more and where things like AI, these technologies can contribute more. So there is no like when the technology is out there, and if it can support accelerating, doing things faster, easier, better, it's good to use it, unless it affects the human development, right? So that is, we agree that it's a difficult question to answer. A lot of people had to come together to work on such aspects. I'm sure, and I also know such research work is already happening, and we hopefully will hear soon. Say, for example, it's not a technology like AI, but calculators. When calculators came into picture about 100 years ago, in fact, more than 100 years ago, they were not allowed to be used by anybody, actually, even in universities. But then later, we decided, understanding, studying about it, we decided primary school, secondary school, we are not allowing calculators, and universities we do, right? So, and we are okay, right? So there are people who are arguing against it, but let's say we are okay, right? So so something, such study, extensive study has to be done to figure out whether there are any negative impact or influence by using these technologies at different stages, and decide where we as educators, we had to make the decision, policymakers and educators had to make the decision. Thank you very much. That's a long list of questions, maybe the longest I ever had.
Yes. So thanks a lot, Professor Ragel. So I know the session is very engaging. There's another question.
Is there a way to
you
know?
are going to ask answer? We are running out of time. It's a very short one.
Okay, somebody has given an answer, neural network.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, sorry, it's the answer. Right, so I know it's a very engaging session, but unfortunately we have come to the end of this session because of the time limitation. So to deliver the vote of thanks, I would like to invite Dr. Chaturi Senanayaka, the Secretary of SLAYS. Over to you, Chaturi.
Thank you, Dr. Maheshi. So good evening, everyone. So it's my great honor and privilege to extend the vote of thanks at the conclusion of this insightful webinar on generative AI in academia, opportunities and challenges. So in behalf of the Sri Lankan Academy of Young Scientists, SLAYS, I express our deepest gratitude to Professor Roshan Ragel, a distinguished academic in computer engineering at the University of Peradeniya, Sri Lanka, for sharing his expertise with us. So our insights on generative AI have inspired meaningful discussions. And a special thank you to our valued participants who join us today with great enthusiasm. So your participation and insightful questions made this session engaging and valuable. And also, I would like to thank Dr. Duminda Satarasinghe and Dr. Maheshi Mapalagamage for their excellent planning and coordination, so which ensured the webinar is successful. So I again thank Dr. Maheshi Mapalagamage, who acted as the session moderator, for the smooth facilitation and ensuring the webinar success. So finally, I would like to thank the SLAYS President, Dr. Dinusha Udukala, and the SLAYS Council for their support and efforts in making the webinar a success. So once again, thank you all for your time and participation. We look forward to more such engaging discussions in future. So have a great rest of your day, and thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Chaturi. So as we conclude today's session, I would like to extend our heartfelt gratitude to Professor Roshan Ragel, first of all, to accepting our request and sharing your valuable insights and expertise knowledge about AI, generative AI in academia. Actually, we are planning to have another session on generative AI in research because, even though they are related, we cannot discuss them in one. So we'll see. So as SLAYS, we are planning to meet you all up with another engaging and timely discussion, and we invite you all to join with us. You can go to our website, and we warmly invite you all to join with SLAYS community for the advancement of science in Sri Lanka. Thanks again, Professor Ragel, for having your time. Have a good day, everyone.
Thank you very much, and good night.